Hey everyone, how are you all doing? We've got a big Venus retrograde happening, which happens every 18 months or so. And this time it's going to have its retrograde fully in the sign of Leo. And we just entered the shadow phase a couple of days ago on the 19th. And this one's been actually hitting me really hard in a good way. And I feel like it's important to talk about this retrograde on my channel. I don't always talk about a lot of the astrological events specifically in these one videos, but this one I'm feeling very called to discuss with you all because I think it's going to be really important. And it's, of course, really a big focus on the heart. What does the heart want and what does the heart need? But more importantly, this is about the heart speaking very loudly. And yeah, in some cases, it may be speaking loudly from a very wounded place. So let's kind of go over this because there's a really cool synchronicity with this Venus retrograde, which will begin on, I believe, the 22nd of July until the 3rd of September, but it's entered its pre-shadow phase on the 19th of June. And that happened at 12:12 a.m. Pacific time at 12 degrees and 12 minutes. I think that's kind of cool. And obviously, it's only going to be for two areas in the world that will have the 12:12 time zone, but it's still an interesting, everyone's going to have the 12 for sure in the minute. And that's just a really interesting, and there's just something kind of a little more, I don't know, there's something very special about this because Venus rules Taurus. And so Venus is ruling Jupiter and Uranus right now, which is definitely causing some very big movements in our world. And so there's an emphasis here on a lot of big energy, possibly bringing in some surprises, some epiphanies, big growth opportunities. But the shadow part started on the 19th at 12:12 a.m. at 12 degrees and 12 minutes. But what's also cool is that the shadow period is going to end on October 7th at 2:22 a.m. Pacific time. So I don't know if twos mean anything to anyone, but let's face it, when Venus rules relationships, that's two people. All right. And it can be any kind of relationship. It's your important one-to-one connections. So I just feel like there's going to be a big emphasis on our relationships, our one-to-one connections. But let's kind of go through this because Venus is the planet of love, the planet of relationships, creativity, beauty, value, right? And so much that comes up when Venus goes retrograde or it's in its shadow period. Of course, it's most potent in its retrograde. Deeper emotions are going to come up to the surface. So you're not going to be able to hide them. They're going to be really transparent. And full disclosure here, guys, one of the reasons why I'm feeling really called to do this video is because I'm already feeling it. Like on the 19th, literally when this Venus went retrograde, which also happens to be the day the Schumann resonance went off the charts in this really weird thing, which I don't know too much about that. I don't know if there was a glitch in the system somewhere or, if that was a real thing. I don't know. All I know is clearly there was some weird spike. And I don't know if you felt it. I absolutely felt it. It brought up a lot of emotions for me. I was extremely exhausted Monday and Tuesday, like extremely worn out. And I was trying to fight it. Monday, I tried to fight it. I tried to do stuff. Tuesday rolled around and my body, my mind, my heart wasn't having it. I just had to surrender. And at one point, like I was trying to get so much done and I couldn't understand this feeling inside of me. I don't know if any of you guys, it's almost like this depressive feeling on Monday and Tuesday where I felt so disconnected. And I just started crying. I'm like, I give up. Like I'm trying to do all these things and I just think I need to cry. I think I need a good cry. And I said, okay, let's cry. And I just sat there on my couch and I let the tears flow. And I felt very, I just felt at a loss. Like I didn't know what else to do, or I felt a sense of overwhelm too, very overwhelming feeling, which is very Venus retrograde, which again, let's face it, I'm ruled by Venus with my sun in Taurus. So any movements with Venus I'm always feeling. So this is not surprising me that I'm already tapping into that now, but I think a lot of you are tapping into it. So deep emotions become transparent. Um, Basically, what I think is going to happen over the next 4 months, 3.5 months or so, maybe 4 months, as Venus makes its journey through Leo to 28 degrees and then back to the 12-degree mark and then back to 12, back till it ends on October, I want to say 7th, is really about the heart. I think the heart is going to be the main event in a lot of our lives, in a sense of needing attention. So that brings me to the sign of Leo. Leo is a sign that loves attention, right? This is the proud lion standing, on top of its hill, beating, just you can feel the heartbeat of the lion, and it's just its magnificent roar, across the kingdom. Think about the Lion King. Like this is just very quintessential, feeling proud, being the king, really being able to stand in the glory of the spotlight. So all things about being seen, having attention, are very much Leo themes that I think are going to come up in this Venus retrograde over the next 4 months. And over these next 4 months, I think you're going to really want to pay attention to these hidden emotions that are coming up about, do you feel seen in your relationships? Do you see others in your relationships the way they want you to see them? Are you truly seeing them for who they are? This is going to be really important because I think feelings of rejection, neglect, and not having your feelings validated are going to be surfacing over the next few months for a lot of us. And it's going to be important to pay attention to that. I would say expect a lot of drama over the next few months when it comes to emotions, and feelings. I think some relationships are going to be set on fire. I think there's going to be a sense of, there's going to be a compelling feeling or nature within our own hearts to just burst out in our emotions, or act on whatever emotions that you have, which could be to your detriment. It could be a positive. It's really, who knows how it's really going to go for each and every one of us. But dissolving these old patterns within our relationships is a theme for Venus retrograde. But specifically with Leo, it's about, am I seen for my true value? Am I seen, in relationships the way I want to be seen? Are people really respecting you and treating you with, let's just say, how do I say this correctly? Because, the people that truly love you will treat your love like royalty, right? When we talk about that kind of king energy of the Leo, but you also need to be reciprocating that energy in your relationship. So where does that all stem from? Are you able to tap into that? Are you not? So expect wild emotions over the next few months, specifically peaking late July into early September. Wild emotions that again are going to cause you to want to act on those emotions, because Leo's a fire sign. It's a masculine energy. It's a doer. It's got some spice. It's got some flavor. So all that's going to happen. But I also think there's going to be these big explosions of your heart energy throughout the next few months, which could be in a really good way, or could be in a not so good way. So some of you may be falling madly in love or having these incredible, fiery date experiences. For others of you, if you're already in a relationship, you may be finding yourself falling madly in love with your partner on a deeper level. There could be more romanticism because Leo's a very romantic sign. So when you put Venus there, like there could be this revisiting of old romances too. Who knows? Retrograde always brings back the past, and past relationships may surface. For some of you, there'll be ones that you want. For some of you, there'll be ones you don't want. But it's coming up for you to look at what it is that you really want around love right now. What is it that your heart really wants? Because one of the things that I kind of downloaded the other day when I was kind of sitting with all of this was that saying, like, the heart wants what the heart wants. But there's a caveat to that, because the wounded heart will always want subconsciously what the wounded heart wants. Like it's going to be attracted to more wounding. The healed heart, however, wants something very different. And so really kind of taking a look, this is a perfect period of time to really look at what does your heart want? What is it really kind of asking for in your life right now? Is it getting its needs met at the level that your heart really needs it? And if not, what do you need to do to change it? What shifts do you need to make? I think those are going to be really important. Now, Leo, of course, is the sign that rules the heart chakra. And it's also the sign of the inner child. So I expect a lot of inner child issues to be coming up here in regards to relationships, in regards to self-worth. Venus is very much about value. And it could also be in relation to your own beauty, right? Because Venus is very much tied to beauty and creativity because it also rules the arts. And so this could potentially be a very creative time where you're going to go into a deeper reflective period where a creative pulse or energy that you kind of maybe have been lacking might be available for you to tap into, and you might find these bursts of creativity. When we talk about this inner child concept too, this is going to be a really important time to pay attention to your inner child. What is your inner child trying to speak to you about when it comes to matters of your own heart? When it comes to matters of being seen? When it comes to matters of how you get attention? Are you attention seeking in the wrong places? Or have you done enough healing where you're not looking for outside validation on your own value? But at the same time, does your inner child feel like its feelings are being validated? That's such a huge one when it comes to inner child healing. Can't tell you how many times when I'm taking a client through inner child healing where they might be dismissive of their own feelings because they don't think it's a big deal. This might be the time where things that have been really buried are going to come up to be reviewed. And it's time to really do that healing to move forward. So this is a time where you might be experiencing very overwhelming feelings. I was extremely overwhelmed on Tuesday. I didn't like it, but I'm going to tell you something. Let me share with you what's happened. So a week ago, last Thursday, my back went out. And interestingly enough, I was like, well, that's crazy, because since I made an adjustment in my energetic boundaries a year and a half ago, I stopped getting all kinds of back pain that I used to get chronically. And I knew that it was because I was taking on other people's literal back pain or lack of emotional support and carrying it for them, which was affecting my lower back. So I put up my emotional boundaries and I stopped doing that. Great. Well, my back went out on the craziest. I was literally sitting on my couch last Thursday night, working late into I just got into a work groove and I was working on my laptop, sitting cross-legged. And finally I was like, okay, Nicole, you need to go to bed because you got to be up early tomorrow morning. So I get up off my sofa, and as I do, my whole back was like, oh no, we're not straightening out. And so I was like, no, what's going on? And so my whole back kind of went out. And it went into a spasm, not a full-blown spasm, but enough that it was tender. And on Tuesday, when I finally decided to let the emotions out, and I just said, you know what? Cry, just let it out. I don't even know what these feelings are, but I'm just going to cry and let it out. Within an hour or two, my back healed like 50%. And I'm like, what just happened? This has been going on now for 5 or 6 days. And I was stunned. I was like, oh my gosh, which makes a lot of sense because the lower back, it's tied to financial support, but it's also tied to emotional support. So when we talk about finances too, we can talk about value. And I just think that there must have been something tied there. And I'm kind of still going through it. So I'm not going to really go into a lot of detail here with you because it doesn't make any sense. But definitely, I knew that there's something here that I'm needing to review about support, emotional support. And I knew that for me too, it was about like not having to do things alone anymore, right? Which I've kind of talked to you guys about. Like that's kind of come up a lot for me this year. And I think that's a good thing. You know, I don't think I should be allowing myself to keep doing things alone anymore. And so once I kind of released those feelings, it was great. And so what I think here too, for this Venus retrograde that we're all going to be going through, that this is a really good time to honor your feelings, let them be very transparent. I mean, first transparent with yourself more than anything, but I would also like encourage you to be more vulnerable to the people that you trust, the people that you maybe need to let in, the people that need to know if it's about a certain relationship, this stuff is coming up. Like it's important to have these conversations. So getting honest about your emotions is going to be really key over the next few months. I would say make one of your goals here for the summer, okay, going into the fall, for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, to make opening a pathway to love one of your goals. I think that you will find this retrograde period extremely beneficial, and you'll be working with the energies quite synchronistically. So I think there's something really big here about love coming up. And it's just, when I talk about love, I just mean opening your heart, being able to receive, being able to love freely. Who are you choosing to love? Who are you not choosing to love? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Because when it comes to the inner child, like I've talked a lot about on this on my like Instagram reels and my TikToks more so, is that when our inner child is wounded, we will naturally gravitate and feel like this endorphin rush, which will confuse with sparks and excitement when we're near someone that's familiar energetically. And familiar doesn't always equate to good, especially if you haven't done any of your healing. I would say you're almost certainly it's not a good thing. And so that endorphin rush of the highs and the lows, that usually come with a lot of trauma-based relationships. So really kind of look at, who am I choosing? Who am I not? And I think this is going to be a big question for a lot of us. And so I think inner child healing, paying attention to your own feelings, allowing yourself to have your emotional purges when you need to, really having important conversations with the people in your life that are really important, paying attention to your own emotions and how reactive you might be, because lots of reactivity probably going to be happening over the summer, and again, might be good, might be some fun sparks, but it might be some bad drama. Okay. I believe that this is the time period where the heart is going to speak very bravely. The heart has something to say this summer. And it's time that we really listen and we allow our own hearts to truly speak without really having to modify, diffuse, distill down like what we're feeling. So, others won't be freaked out. And that doesn't mean you do it in a traumatic way or even a dramatic way, but just, really allow the pure, authentic feeling to be expressed, because the heart is needing to be seen over the next few months. What does your heart truly want at this stage of your life? What does your heart truly want? Really ask yourself that question, because perhaps, as lion is king of the jungle, perhaps it's time many of us make love king in our life. And I really resonate with this a lot, because I'm realizing over the last few weeks, I've had a very big realization that I have poured so much of my energy into my professional life that I don't think I've come anywhere close to pouring the same kind of energy into my personal life. And that this is a time period where I definitely am looking to make a shift in bettering all of my relationships, really understanding who I'm choosing, who I'm not choosing, why am I choosing, why am I not choosing, like really kind of getting under the hood of all of that stuff, but then also learning how to make that much more of a priority in my life, more so than I have, because I think that, one of the things that has come up for me personally, but I also know many of you have been experiencing this, is that when we go on this spiritual journey and we really start to uncover all of our own wounds and start to remember who we really are, and we start claiming those fractals and bringing them home into our heart, that it can be a very isolating experience, and it has to be for some period of time. But sometimes the comfort of that, the comfort zone of the being isolated or I should say, being isolated becomes your comfort zone, and you forget how to really make relationships a priority, because at the end of the day, being human, one of the most important aspects of this entire life is our relationships with others. When you leave this life, it's not so much about all the things that you earned, or all of the the experiences are absolutely important, but if you're experiencing them all alone and you don't have anyone to share it with, you're really missing out on part of the gravy that comes with all of that. And so I think that ultimately everything tastes better when you have someone to share it with, right? A meal will always taste better if you have really good company to share it with. And so I think that this is going to be a time period where we're going to be seeing that now, with Venus ruling both Libra and Taurus, but there's no planets really the South Node is moving into Libra, which Venus will be squaring actually right before it goes retrograde. So that's interesting. So there's that. What does the South Node represent? The South Node represents a lot of the things that we need to release. It's our karma. It's our past. It's the things that don't really serve us anymore. It's a purge. We think about the dragon's tail, right? The South Node, it's like the excretion of what is toxic, what is not good for us. And so Libra being the sign of, our relationships, are we in balance? Are we in harmony in our life? All those things Venus is going to be squaring. So there's going to be some challenges that come up there to cause you to make shifts and changes. Then we also have, Venus is going to be at some point squaring Jupiter and Uranus throughout its transit twice. So, well, maybe not so much Jupiter until the end, but, there's going to be definitely that effect. And so Jupiter represents a lot of our growth. It represents our expansion. It represents our abundance, but it's also a really big teacher. And it's also about, like that. It's about those deeper existential questions. It's your belief system. So like a lot of that's going to get called into question here too. And then of course with Uranus just likes to shake shit up, right? Like Uranus just wants to let's go for the new thing and let's liberate ourselves. Let's have some breakdowns and some breakthroughs. So I would say expect a lot of those breakdowns and breakthroughs to be very much oriented around this theme of Venus in Leo retrograde. Because I think that that's definitely going to be happening, and things are going to happen out of the blue, right? Like Uranus is like the tower kind of thing. Like you didn't see that one coming, spontaneous. Uranus likes to break shit down so you can rebuild in the way that it needs to, new ways moving into the future. This is about a new vision for yourself. So Think about the vision that you want for yourself when it comes to love and relationships and feeling valued and being seen. And how are you getting your attention? Are you receiving the attention that you deserve? Are you seeking it out in all the wrong places? Like all those things are going to kind of come up. And I think also, pay attention to that little boy or girl inside you who really needs their feelings validated. This is a perfect time to validate those feelings, to go deeper. And I would suggest, if you haven't, I've uploaded a reel to my Instagram or to my TikTok. And that is, I take you through, it's literally like a 3.5 minute video where I share the process that I take clients through in connecting to their inner child. So if you have trouble reconnecting or you want to go a little deeper, there's a few tips in there that I left to really help you get to that level that opens up the neural pathway in such a deep way and really makes your mind believe the healing that you're going through so deeply. And that's what can really make or break your healing journey. Is one, you need that deeper connection to all of your senses when you're connecting to your inner child, because you got to feel everything. You want to have your hearing like really profound. You want like whatever you're visually seeing, maybe there's a smell that you smell. Like all those things are really important when you're doing like nostalgic type healing. So, that's what I wanted to say about Venus retrograde. So, of course, if any of you guys are feeling like a need for inner child healing or some kind of healing, maybe it's soul fractal healing, this would be, a great time to kind of really even look at the Forbidden Journey retreat, if that's something that you'd like to come to, because that's a lot of what we're going to be focusing on, is bringing in some of these healed fractals, going to help you identify some of the most important fractals that need to come home for healing. We're going to go through the whole process, facing certain fears and realigning them within your own heart. Especially before you even go on any of the journeys and the ceremonies, so that your ceremony will be like really impactful and you'll be in a very high vibrational state when you go in. So really looking forward to that. So if you're also thinking about getting a ticket to the Forbidden Journey retreat, links are in the description below. And I will be releasing the one-to-one coaching program for the Forbidden Journey program. I will be releasing that within a week or so. I'll be taking on new clients. So there's a few of you that have reached out to me and asked me to let you know when that is coming. So stay tuned. That information is coming. I'm going to be taking on new clients early to mid-July. All right. So guys, that's it for now. Have a wonderful beginning of summer. I hope the summer solstice has been good for you. We're getting like crazy hail here in Colorado. Apparently baseball size hail is falling as I speak somewhere. Apple size hail fell at the Red Rocks Amphitheater yesterday, and people literally had to go to the hospital. Crazy stuff's happening. Like the weather's all over the place, but you cannot resist Mother Nature. You need to find a way to work with her. So I love you guys. Have an incredible week, and I'll see you next time.